to another segment of ours. We are going to be discussing the best RB trio in our league. And this is mostly coming from the robust RB strategy, where you're going to be drafting, a good amount of RBs in that beginning of that draft. And, they carry you along through the season in pretty good amount. Today we have managers Easy, managers FanDuel with us. So going through these running back trios that we have listed out, which one's eye popping to you right now, Manager Easy? What you got as your number one?
Yeah, this one was tricky. I do have some favorites among this list. However, I think I got to go with the best running back in the league and where he is at. And that's CMC. So CMC, Kamara, and Kenneth Walker. It doesn't get much better than that. So we're talking about Christian McCaffrey, who is currently the running back one dominating. Uh, just on a week-to-week basis, his performance has been electric. Kenneth Walker has taken a massive step up this year, and he is really filling in to be. He's looking like a top 2 round pick if we were to redraft right now. And I believe he was drafted in the 4th or 5th round. So having him as your running back 2 or 3 is extremely valuable because on most teams, he would be a running back 1. And then Kamara in the 8th round or later, it is extremely valuable because his suspension is in the back window now, and we're looking ahead. He looks like he's a PPR monster. He might not be getting like a bunch of yards per touch. However, just getting those touches is everything. Getting those catches. He had like 11 catches or something ridiculous during his return. I have to slot them at number one.
Nice. And yeah, you can't argue with that trio right there. And given Kamara's return and how much impact he has had in the PPR game, it's unmatched. Manager FanDuel, what you got as your number one trio?
Yeah, so I mean, first of all, it's not shocking, or it is shocking. Manager Yeezy's picking the team with CMC there. Who would have thought? But no, I mean, all things kidding aside, I think Manager Yeezy makes some really great points about all three of those running backs. I wouldn't I wouldn't be upset if I had any of those running backs on my team, but I had to take a slightly different route. And I like the team, the four-headed monster of Bijan, Grease, Raheem Mostert, and King Henry. I mean, first of all, you're always winning when you have a surplus of talented running backs on your roster. Everyone who plays fantasy or has been playing fantasy for a long time understands that running back might be the most sought after and scarce position in all of fantasy and can have massive swings in your championship runs or your sacco runs, depending on what kind of running back you're starting and where you're starting them at. In the case here with Bijan, Brees, Raheem, Henry, all solid top 15 to 18 running backs now, especially with the emergence of Brees Hall this past couple of weeks. People were kind of weary on him with the torn ACL last year. I know he slipped in a lot of drafts. Maybe he's slipping down to like round 6, 7, potentially even later, depending on how many people you have in your draft. So that was an absolute value pick right there for a bell cow back who you could have gotten that late. Now, looking aside, obviously we see what Bijan's doing in Atlanta. Not too surprising considering Atlanta spent that type of trade capital and draft capital to draft a running back that early in the top 10. So we already knew that they were going to go ahead and work him like they did prior running backs, Tyler Algier, other rookie running backs that other teams have done in the past. So we know what kind of numbers he's putting up. King Henry is King Henry. We never have to say anything about him. But, the surprising one here has really been Raheem Mostert. Not many people thought he would have had a massive role. Coming into the season, Jeff Wilson was the number one. Raheem Mostert was the backup to him, so he wasn't even the starter. Most people got Raheem Mostert late in the 9th, 10th rounds. If you have a very small league, he might have even gone undrafted in a lot of leagues. So that right there is also an extremely valued pick. When you combine it all, yeah, it can be a little tricky in terms of start, sits. You have to play the right pieces, but you can never go wrong with having too many assets on your team. If you're a good manager, if you're a smart manager, a great GM, and you're good at what you do, you'll figure out a way to flip those assets and parlay them into another player who you can start on your roster. But I got to go ahead and give it to that four-headed monster.
And yeah, completely valid. You have that four-headed monster, like you've been saying, and you can plug and play however you like, and it's like options that people wish they had on their team. So I did go down a slightly different route as well. I was, my eye went towards Jonathan Taylor, Travis Etienne, and David Montgomery. Now I do see that David Montgomery is injured, but you cannot deny what he has produced in the games prior. He's had around 2 weeks ago, he had 32 attempts of rushing. 32. And he does get that receiving role here and there, but 32 attempts. Lions want to use him, and they use him in the goal line as well. Might be out 1 to 2 weeks. I still got to get confirmation on that. But when he is back, he is going to keep up that volume on that Lions offense, which is why I'm really liking the value that Montgomery came in with as a very late round pick and just plug and play into that lineup as you like. Second guy, a little controversial, but Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor was the RB1 2 seasons ago. He just got paid on this Colts offense. This Colts offense has lost their running rookie quarterback, Anthony Richardson, for the season, and they are sticking with Gardner Minshew. Yes, Zach Moss is still there, but let's not forget Jonathan Taylor and the impact he had on fantasy football. He will return to that running back state that he was in before. So I'm thinking long term here that Jonathan Taylor is going to be, that vital, and why he's going to carry a lot of fantasy managers to, a good victory. But my eye really caught on for the last guy, Travis Etienne. He really came on this season. He came to play. That Jaguars offense is looking pretty good. They feed him the ball. He's a receiving down back. He's getting goal line work. His attempts have been getting an increasing amount of share each week. I don't see the Jags offense slowing down. I don't see him slowing down either. And yeah, it's pretty bold given the guys I mentioned, but I think I'm gonna have to go with those three. So, in terms
that's
of
good take. I like that.
Yeah. So we do have a couple more listed. We do have Pollard, Barkley, and Cook, and we do have Jacobs, Swift, and Ashane. What are you guys' takes on the ones that were left?
All again great players. Unfortunately, I'll start with Jacob Swift and Cheney. We saw now Cheney going on IR. He'll be out the next 4 weeks. It's a massive blow. Obviously, if most teams who have a Cheney, unless there's some massive, futurist, they probably didn't predict he was going to be where he is. So most leagues he went undrafted, so he probably didn't have to expend too much draft capital, hopefully. But in terms of Jacobs, I'm not too pleased with what I'm seeing from the Las Vegas offense this year. I know they got Jimmy G at quarterback. They got Josh McDaniels as head coach. They have Devontae Adams out there. Even Jacoby Myers has been having a great season, actually, the once great New England Patriot. But it's, this is not too much to go off. I mean, I don't really trust Josh Jacobs too much. I know he had a great last year. And when you have two running backs out of the three who are kind of iffy with Jacobs and Cheney, that one running back, no matter who it is, really can't make up. And even though Swift is having a great year behind one of the best, in my opinion, the best offensive line in all of football with the Philadelphia Eagles, he still can't overcome the deficiencies from Josh Jacobs and Devon Cheney.
It's a great running back trio. However, of course, A-Chain is injured. So at the moment, it's that third running back that hampers them. And when we're talking about the greatest running back trio, it's got to be the greatest running back trio all throughout the three. And the same thing I'm going to have to say for Pollard, Barkley, and Cook. To be honest, and this isn't me being biased because I own Pollard in the FLM, but I really do think Pollard is going to pan out to be a top three running back in the by the end of the season. I think just being behind an underperforming offensive line in the Dallas Cowboys has hampered him slightly. However, we saw how explosive he can be this past Monday night. We see that the Dallas Cowboys are going to be winning a decent amount of games, and when they're in the lead, they're going to be running to Tony Pollard. Meanwhile, Saquon Barkley is behind one of the worst offensive lines, which is very different than Pollard being behind one of the best. So Barkley, it's all about the talent there. This dude, he was like 14 rushes for 14 yards at a point in the Sunday Night Football game this past week. However, he finally, during that 15th rush, finally got a breakaway run and essentially had an effective day, having more than 20 touches. So I think in a robust RB build, you're as strong as your third running back. James Cook is where the running back build gets weak, and James Cook has been someone that is shows promise, and then you get really frustrated with how the Bills use them. The talent is there, the pass catching ability. I'm not sure why he's not getting more pass catching work. However, he's been getting some, and he shows when he has how explosive he can be because he's been his yards per catch with the pass catching has been very very good, one of the highest in the leagues, in fact. And this past week, he showed that he can run efficiently. However, the thing is, there's Latavius Murray in the backfield, and then Leonard Fournette is visiting the Buffalo Bills, so that does concern me a little bit. However, these two are solid builds, but not among the best.
Solid takes by both of you, and yeah, tough to get with that robust RB strategy and have it secured long term because we know injuries are bound to happen in fantasy football, but it's how you can manage it either way. So I want to thank you guys for listening on. Please subscribe down below. We'll see you next time for our next video.